All right, welcome back to the kitchen table where business gets done. I'm your host, Ken Baden, and today we have Lem Garcia all the way on the other side of the country. We're going to the West Coast today. Lem, how are you? How's the weather in Cali?
I'm doing fantastic. Weather's actually pretty cold right now. It's like the coldest weather we've had the whole year. Yeah.
Well, maybe we sent some of ours your way, man. I don't know. I mean, actually, do you know what? Ironically, it's been really nice here. It's a little like today, but all week it's been like 60, which for us, that's really good. I don't know. Is
Oh,
that
that's
nice in
cold.
Cali? Oh, he said that's
That's
cold.
cold for me.
Where is and you just told me West Covina is what it is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
is that
10
what it is?
miles east of Los Angeles.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
so Southern California would
Yeah.
that would be considered? Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool, man. My father, not to get off task here, but lived in San Diego and told me when he was in the service, he said if I ever get a chance when I'm young, A to go there, but B to live there. He said it was the nicest place he's ever lived, best weather, best everything.
Yeah.
You ever get
Nice.
out there?
It's close by. Yeah, I agree. I love it out there.
Yeah. Well, I've never been, and I don't know. I
Oh,
mean, I got to travel more, man. I've literally like very seldom left the East Coast. For a while there, it was like I just didn't leave Maryland. So, well, I'm not super well traveled, but my wife's working on it. So, ironically, we were just talking off air. But Lem, you're an attorney. The missus is an attorney, and we want to talk a little bit about obviously what you do. This is a business entrepreneur based podcast. We made a joke, or I made a joke that I have a love-hate relationship with attorneys because my wife is one and he's married to one. So I thought that was pretty funny. I can't imagine like what those arguments are like in that household.
it's challenging. They last a long time if we get into it.
Can you tell me who wins more often than not?
She wins.
Smart
She
man.
wins.
See, that was a trick, but you
It
just
comes with
hey,
experience.
you said, brother, like, hey, look, you ain't getting me that easy, man. She's gonna listen to this. Great answer, Lim. Tell us a little bit. So I know personally, having been, obviously married to my wife, but I knew her when she was going through law school, and just how challenging that was, how driven you got to be to just have the passion and the pursuit to just push through and do all of that. To have both you and the missus, but where did that start? How did you turn this into the endeavor that it is now? I mean, did you decide way back you wanted to be an attorney? Like, take us through that process of kind of how you came here, if you would please.
Yeah, well, to become an attorney, it was I was just in a tight spot. I was a legal assistant, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I just finally decided after a long talk with my mom, she's like, "Hey," she sat me down, like, "Hey, what are you doing with your life? What happened in law school? You took the test. Why aren't you going?" And I just, she just shamed me. And I said, "You know
Shamed
what,
you into
maybe
getting your law
I
degree.
stopped messing around and I get serious." And I went to law school. And then in 2014, I had my back against the wall, newly married, a kid on the way, and I decided, like, let me open up a firm and see where that takes me. And when you had no choice but to succeed, you make it happen. You take every step, make all the sacrifices, take all the risk to make it happen. And 10 years later, it's the firm's been growing. It's going well.
So I wanted to focus on that. So you got guilted into, or mom pressed you out, so you had to step up and become an attorney. But all jokes aside, that's great, and there are a lot of paths attorneys can take. And my wife took she could make a lot more money if she went. Just to give you guys a reference, right? So Lim's an attorney, but he's also an entrepreneur. Hence why he's on the show, right? But we've had other attorneys. I've had one of my attorneys on the show to give other type of advice. Lynn's going to be on here, really telling us how to, first, I believe some of your focuses are branding and just really growing a business the right way. And what I love about this is, if you're listening, attorneys have basically two paths. They can go and work for the government, say, right? Like, or the state, which would still be the government, right? And they could prosecute, and they could be like when you get public defenders, which they get a bad rap, but whatever. They don't make the kind of money that my wife knows that she could make in the private sector, but that comes with its own challenges, long hours and, different risk. And she's not a big risk person. She's more of a, hey, I want to be stable, have the time off and so on. Ironically, with all the stuff going on, she's experienced some risk because of the issues with the government, but fortunately she's secure right now. But Lim chose the latter, which is going to the private sector. But not only that, you took your future in your own hands and you started your own firm, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Does the missus work with you?
Yeah, she came on to the office about 3 years into it.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
before she even came in, so that's what I really want to hone in on. So, yeah, you went and got your law degree and you could have taken the safe route and they still make good money, mind you. Like good money is relative, right? If you can make like extraordinary money in the private sector, perhaps even get to partner or something like that, but you can still make your six figures or and with great benefits, they wouldn't be doing all of that work lest they had that option, right? But Lem, you went and said, no, I'm going to go ahead and start my own business. So take me through what was the big determining factor when you did get your law degree that was like, okay, well, now I can either go here, work for the state, work for the government, or like, did you just jump right into entrepreneurship? Did you work somewhere else that showed you that path was the path you wanted to take? How did you come to decide that you wanted to start your own firm?
Yeah, so at first I was unemployed after law school, looking for work. I got a couple of contract jobs. And then after doing that, I was looking for a job like as a lawyer, and I really had a hard time finding one. So I said, you know what, just I can start my own firm. I was working as a legal assistant for many years. Like I think I can get some clients in the door. So in 2014, it just hung a shingle, and I did a bunch of SEO, reached out to everybody I knew and let them know that I was open for business. And from then on, it just started out with one client and just kept on giving good service and just kept on getting more clients that way.
So the firm focuses on, is this like a personal injury firm? I just did a brief
Yeah. So
the
at
main
first it
focus.
started out as like I just wanted anyone, any kind of client, I'll figure it
Anybody.
out, help them out.
Anybody who pays.
Yeah, anyone who has an issue, I'll try to help you out. And I got a couple of cases, personal injury. I'm like, this pays well. I can help a bunch of people. Let me just focus 100% on this, get really good at this, deliver the best service and results possible, and just go all in on that. Advertise all that, just 100% personal injury, get a bunch of reviews, help people out, make sure they spread the word, and the business continue to grow that way.
That's awesome. So you kind of found in a way like I just want to point this out by the way because I don't see a whole lot of. I'm a big fan of the DISC method. You familiar with that? With the
No,
DISC?
what is that?
An acronym. It's similar to like Myers Briggs, but if you look it up, it stands for like driver, influencer, steady, and compliant. But they do change. The words are always really just synonyms of one another. Like somebody you might see like compliant, and it might be like complacent, but they all mean the same thing. So like think when you see a high C person, it's literally a test you take when you hire folks, or you could take one yourself to see like where am I at? What am I? What's my DISC profile? High C is going to be your prototypical like engineer, probably attorney, right? And high S as well, right? So high S and C, or they might be high D, high C. That's a real driven, dominant attorney that's got a lot of drive, straight to the point. But my point is a prototypical attorney is going to be in that high C, very safe, very conscientious, very not big risk takers. But it's like to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a risk taker. So like by default, you kind of go right outside of the box of what a quote unquote prototypical like archetype for if I'm just looking at like what I'm looking at in terms of like personality profile. So I love that because you have to have that. You have to be a risk taker. I mean, that's quite literally like that's what being a business owner and entrepreneur is all about. Would you agree? And that's like a big
Yeah,
part of what we
absolutely.
do.
Huge risk. You don't know. I mean, as a lawyer, like with your own firm, you don't know what clients you're going to get, if you're going to get any clients, how good will the clients be, how good are the cases. And yeah, there's a lot of risk involved with making sure that a firm is successful.
And personal injury, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have a friend of mine that has a firm in Baltimore that does this. But like, you guys get paid by like winning cases and getting these things settled, right? I mean, am I correct there, or at least a
Yeah,
big
we only
portion?
get paid if we win. If we don't
Oh,
win, we don't
okay.
get paid anything. So we have to make sure that we get a good case, and then in the end, we're able to work it up and do a good job for the client, and then get paid at the end. So you don't starting a firm like you get a client, you might not get paid on that case for several months, a year, or even years. You
Oh,
just don't know.
wow.
The
What's the
income
average
is
turnaround on
not
a case?
steady. I think
What's
most cases resolve within probably 8 months.
So you've got to have 8 months of working capital if you want to do this. And talk about risks, man. I mean, you got to be able to float for 8 months, hoping that and win some cases. So the pressure that comes with, all right, I've got now 8 months to, on average, to close something and win, get the money, and keep the bills paid. So, I mean, that's just so high stress, man. I mean, like, what was that? What are some of the things that you can tell our listeners, like, that hear that, and like, man, because, some of these folks that are listening that want to start a business or maybe have started a business, like, they're like, okay, well, I might need 30, 90 days, 6 months of working capital. You're talking 8 months. How do you prepare for something like that? I mean, what would you say is your biggest strength that really was prepared you to do that? Are you just that much of a risk taker and just believe that much in yourself? Like, to what could you attribute most just being able to do that without blinking?
The biggest strength and what I can attribute most to that is just being able to sacrifice your lifestyle for as long as you can. Just whatever money that you get, make sure that you save it. If you need to put it back in the business, put it back in the business. Don't get this, this payout. If it's, if we get a case and we sell for, we get $10,000. Don't go out and buy, whatever it is that you want to buy, a watch, clothes, like whatever it is. Just save that money, run the business solid. Like, keep your margins so that you have the money, so that you don't have to worry about spending for rent or for any utilities. Just make sure that you save the money and don't use it on things that are frivolous. You have to, keep the business afloat. So keep the money and just spend wisely. Just be frugal every step of the way.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, I'm a cliche sales guy, man. So that's really hard, but I've learned along the way.
Yeah.
I've already learned all those lessons since I was younger, man. I still make some mistakes, but now at least I get to the point where it's like, okay, I really want this thing, whether it's a watch or a car. And those are the main things. Like, for me, not much else is of super interest. Of course, like maybe properties or something, but like frivolous expenses. But it's like, okay, well, I have to have frivolous money. You know what I mean? I got to have,
Yep.
literal income that is just completely disposable. And I can determine that by saying, like, okay, here's where my threshold is for my needs. I need to make, let's just say arbitrarily, like 10 grand a month is like minimum. So if I'm not exceeding 10 grand a month, well, then I don't have frivolous expense money. I don't have the money to go pay for those things. But like right now, I'll share this with you, Lem. I have this company, which is Potomac Customer Modeling. We focus on roofing, and we do other things as well, siding, windows, doors, but mainly roofing in a couple of states. But I also have the consulting company, which is Baden Consulting, and that's something that's just more of a, I don't want to say passion project. I mean, we get paid, but I've done this same play like 3 times now, partnership, consulting, and then myself. And I've been in the industry for like 20 years, so I'm well equipped. And I've been through a lot of stuff, and I think you'd agree. Like, the longer you're in the thing, the more you learn about, the more you're able to help someone else, go through the thing. So, like, I wanted to monetize that and put that to use, and take on a few clients this year. So I went and put money down on a car that I want from like 6 months down the road. It's not even out yet, and told my wife, of course. I mean, come on. I said, look, I want to get this car. But I already know what you're going to say, because she used to do the thing, Lim, where she'd be like, I'd say, oh, I want this car, this watch. And she'd be like, well, we're saving for a house, right? Or whatever the thing was at the time. I'm like, yes, I know that. But what you don't know about me yet, and now she does, is like, I'm accounting for all of those things because of what I just said. I've learned the lessons that in order for me to get the thing, I have to then save already for the things I have to do. So I already account for the wife, the baby, the house, the things. So outside of that, that's where I can get my fun money. So I've got to do those things first with the consulting company, then save the additional money needed for the car. So I push myself 6 months from now, and I'm going to do it. By the way, all you listeners, watch. When I'm driving it in 6 months, you'll know I paid for it completely through frivolous, quote unquote, I don't know, side money, side hustle money. I don't know. I'm going for it though, man. I want a ZR1, man. I mean, you think it was like a McLaren or a Porsche GT3 or a Ferrari, and I do want those things. A lot of my mentors have like one of 16 Bugattis, but that's like $600,000, dude. And I'll get there. We'll get there. But right now, I'm not there. So like right now, it's like $250,000 range is like the max where I'd be comfortable. Like that's the goal. The new ZR1, I don't know how much you know about cars, but like, dude, 1,000 wheel horsepower to the wheels from the freaking right out the gate. Chevy is Chevy, so I'm like, but it's coming right out the gate. I'm going to put it in the consulting company. Like it's just, dude, 1,000 wheel horsepower, V8 twin turbo. It's going to smoke everything on the road. And I'm from Southern Maryland, which you don't know where the hell that is, but there's a little bit of, you can take the boy out of Southern Maryland, but you can't take the Southern Maryland out of the boy. You know what I mean? Like I still like my loud cars, so I don't know. I'm really excited about it. Originally, I wanted a McLaren. Are you a car guy?
A little bit.
Yeah. Me too. And I wanted
Yeah,
a
a little bit.
McLaren because I just got to ride one through one of my mentors. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is dope. And I always wanted a foreign. Like I saw like James Bond growing up. Like, dude, he's the man. The way he dresses, the stuff he drives, like classy. And I will get one. But the next step up is I want to build that ZR. And I built it, by the way. Like went online and built it out and
Yeah.
everything. This was the first time I built it. So, and it gives me time to go and save and do all that. So I didn't want to, I'm not hijacking this. Just saying I'm
No, go.
building that, pushing myself to hit a goal. And I just wanted to share that with you all that, oh, by the way, when you see that, you'll know that in order to have spent that money on that, that means that I saved for the wife, I saved for the baby, and then I got that. So do you have any kids, Lem?
I have three. Three girls.
Congratulations, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So wife that works with you, also an attorney, 3 kids. You guys are probably in and out. I don't know what your caseload's like. Could you give our listeners, this is really actually excellent because we have a lot of repeat type businesses on, and we haven't gotten the insight in the day of the life of running a firm, right? So if you're listening to this and you're thinking about, hey, I want to go to law school, but I also want to be an entrepreneur, this guy's your guy. So can you take us through a day in the life of just balancing that work-life balance? Is there such a thing, doing entrepreneur route with being an attorney?
Work-life balance. I'm not a big believer in the work-life balance. I'm
Me either.
not. It's
Curious.
just, you just got to work, and then, you know, you, if you try to balance your life out with the family and work, like you're not giving your business all that it needs to succeed.
Yeah.
Not that the
Which then
family
you're
comes second, but you have to, like, you just got to make time. Like, I don't think there's a minute in my day where I'm not working or with the family, or I'm with the family, I'm working. Like, I have my phone and I'm attached to it all day long. Like, I'm working. I can message the office anytime. I have staff overseas. I'm messaging them, at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. over here. So
Yeah.
it's nonstop, and it's absolutely worth it. Like, I don't see any other way to do it.
At the end of the day, it sounds like you're saying there is no such thing as
I don't
there is
believe
no
in that.
balance. I love it, dude. But I'm right there with you, man. And I'm guilty of it. It's just good for me. So if my wife's listening, well, she already knows. But I'm just saying, like, I think to get extraordinary results. I mean, think about if you've ever read Think and Grow Rich, right? And all these books, these self-help books, these success books, a lot of them talk about what are you prepared to give, right? And so one of the principles behind Think and Grow Rich is like, well, okay, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? Because these people that talk about balance, they're probably not like, you can certainly get to a point where that's possible, but to get to that point, there will be no balance. There just won't be. You got to bust your ass. If you ever get to that point, I don't know if I will, but if you really want that to happen, I don't see how it's going to happen without sacrificing and there being no balance. I mean, you're going to have to work your ass off to make that happen.
Yeah,
There's no one else.
If you're not, someone else is, and they're just going to beat
Right.
you. They're
Exactly.
going to take over. So you
That
have to
sounds
outwork
like some
everybody.
competitive spirit there, man. I mean, would you say you have your competitive edge is one of those things that really drives you to kind of succeed?
Yeah, I think I'm an ultra competitive person. Like, just whatever I do. Like, I grew up watching Michael Jordan, and that's something that I'm like, let me take his mindset and just be competitive at everything, to the detriment of relationships, maybe.
Well, you found probably the one person that would also meet you at your level, and now you're married with kids. And I think I did the same with my wife, because to be fair, like that's not easy. To your point, like my last relationship actually was quite literally, she was that. They all say that they're cool with it until they realize, like, oh, You're just going to be working nonstop. So like, no, I'm not cool with that. But my wife actually is probably the one person that would be, and it sounds like you got that same thing for you. But Lim, I really wanted to talk to you about some of the things that I saw that I know you're really, really good at. Building a reputation. Obviously the ability to grow a business the right way. But I like standing out. Right now, one thing that we're starting to work on, because a lot of our business has been driven from just quite literally like boots on the ground, canvassing. It's just sort of how our business is. The framework has been put there for places I've been before, where literal boots on the ground, knocking doors. We can see that there's a problem there. Now we're starting to do a lot more branding. There's a difference between branding and marketing. Can you tell us a little bit about, I know you're really good at this, how to stand out? Would you give us, what would you tell us or tell our listeners on some things they can do to really stand out in their market?
So first, what you want to do is look at your market, see what people are doing, and then don't copy it. Be yourself, be true to who you are, and try to do something different than what everybody else is doing. So like for me, I'm looking at the industry, seeing what everyone's putting on their website. Everyone has the same personal injury law website. I think what I did differently is I wrote the content myself and really spoke to the client, spoke to potential clients, and I tried to give them what they're looking for in my voice. And I think that's resonated with a lot of people, because when they do call, they say, hey, this sounds like you wrote the content. It sounds like you're speaking to me and that you're really trying to help out. That's why I gave you a call. So, those little nuances, just trying to be yourself and not be like everybody else. Don't be afraid to do something different than what everybody else is doing is really important. Like, don't be afraid to be yourself.
I love that answer. And we just got out of a meeting with one of our board of advisor members who's a huge hit, Brandon Brittingham in the Eastern Shore for real estate. And he was like, look, branding is bigger over here on the shore. Advertising and TV and radio, something we've never done. He's like, don't be afraid to be creative. Don't just do the same stuff like, oh, we're the trusted roofing company. Like everybody does that. You know what I mean? Like, be creative. Don't be afraid to be creative. That's brilliant what you did. Don't be afraid to do something as crazy as write the messages and stuff yourself and speak to your client. That's brilliant. And you would think like, well, yeah, what else? Dude, no one does that. They're chat GPTing or they're paying someone else to write it up. Flat out. That's what they're doing. I mean, right? That's just it.
Yeah.
So something as simple as that. Another thing, Lem, I know you're really well known for is just kind of the focus on building your business. First of all, business growth, but the right way. Like building your business the right way. What's the right way?
The right way is really spending time with your client, like not just delegating it to other people to do it. But if there's a client that wants to speak with you, you speak with them or get ahead of it. Give a client a call. Like when I call a client, they're like, "Is this Lem? Like, is this really you? Like, are you or is this somebody else?" Like, I know this is. They're surprised to hear from the attorney, and I think that's really popular in this field, personal injury. Like, they're not expecting to hear from the person that's on the ad. They think they're just a bunch of, people that are helping them out. But when you have that personal touch, you call people, you email them, you get ahead of it, and just reach out or meet them in person when they come in and say, "Hey, I just wanted to say hi. How was the service from start to finish?" Then they know that there's, someone in the end that actually, really cares and is on top of everything to make sure that everything is being taken care of the right way.
I love that. In terms of business growth, because I know that to mean a few things like metrics. Are we talking metrics? Like, again, take us through trying to provide some value nuggets for you guys. And I know that these are the things that Lem is really known for. So like, growing a business, and I know doing it the right way, we just talked about it, but like, what are some things to kind of watch out for when you're in that growth phase that you could, maybe do's and don'ts perhaps, while you're growing your business?
When you start off your business, you want to prepare for the growth. So what I would do is just any kind of process or procedure that you have, you want to make sure to document that from the beginning so that when you do need to hire someone or you need to hire more people, you don't have to worry about training them up. You have the process, you have the manual, you have the guide, so that you can hand that to them, and then they go over that, and they can just train themselves. Really, like if you have everything documented down to like this ABCs, just really basic, then you can really grow at a fast rate because now you're not worrying like, okay, I need to spend my time my 8 hours in a day training someone up that might end up leaving in 3 months or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So training is huge. And if you have the documents, you have the systems down, broken down for people, make it really easy for them to understand, then you can scale at a really fast rate.
What's the future for your firm? Where do you see yourself in, you guys in, I don't know, a year, even 5 years? I'm just curious. You look into, you know, I don't know what the equivalent would be like for us, right? We're looking to expand into a couple states. We have some big plans. What about yourself? Are you just looking to kind of maybe bring some more folks in, take on more clientele? What's the future look like for your law firm?
Yeah, continue to grow, get more cases, but I think more importantly, in the next 5, 10 years, we're in Southern California now, but it would be nice to have the same type of presence that we have here in Northern California. And it's a whole different animal, different situation over there, how things are managed for personal injury cases. But I think, after some, we can get there. Just open an office there and grow it out like how we grew this office here. We can get there.
Rinse, wash, and repeat. As long as you've done it right, then you can recreate it. Now you have the formula, right? Is what he was just saying, which is like, look, you do it once, you document once you did. Now you have your standard operating procedures, and now you have the playbook to do it again, and you can make it better because you probably learned some things. So you want to take over all of Cali, man. You want to go Southern California, Northern California. California is a humongous freaking state. So that's big aspirations. I love that for you, man. I love that for the family. Lem, thank you so much for coming on. Where can our listeners find you? Where's all the social media, everything? Where can they find you?
Instagram handle at Lem Garcia Law, website lemgarcialaw.com.
Okay, beautiful, man. So, Lem, are there any lasting words of wisdom that you could provide our listeners with? I used to do this. I'm bringing it back, dude. I used to do this. I'm bringing it back. And you're actually, Lem, you're going to be the first one that's done it since probably the OG first year. But what I used to do, and I really like this, is one final nugget. If 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, Lem Garcia, big brand, big guy, big name, where they say like, oh man, remember when Lem said this one contributing thing that you have to the ether that is, the sales and business entrepreneur space. What would be that key point to leave, those key parting words of wisdom with our people?
Whatever fears you have, overcome it. Just fuck it and take action.
Love it, dude. Fuck it and take action. Put that on a t-shirt and run that shit back. Lem, thank you so much for coming on, man. Guys, check out his firm. If you're in the California area, make sure you reach out and go and utilize Lem Garcia. Lem Garcia Law. Yeah, actually, I was right. I was going to say, make sure. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Lem Garcia Law. Check out him and his firm. Make sure you guys use them and give us a shout out. If you like the show, subscribe, leave a review. Let us know what you think. If you have questions for Lem specifically, put them in the comments and we'll do our best to make sure we get them answered. But it's how people know about the show. So make sure you do a comment. Thank you so much, guys. We love you and we'll see you next time.